Now, later on in the story, we're planning to go for a walk to recce a place because we've decided that we're gonna when we've said to camera we're gonna go to a place and we're gonna need to recce it, find a place to photograph the blood moon rise on this amazing island. So now we're going searching. So now I want you to listen to the combination of the voice to camera explaining what's going on, the music comes in, and the music and voice work together. Listen to this. Larger than the land of Portugal. We are doing a little bit of a recce to find the sound effect of the airplane going past is so different from any other sound I've heard before. It works as a brilliant bridge from the airplane, little talk about the airplane, to the recce. I've used it to link it. That flyby shot was shot first thing in the morning. But I used it here because the sound is so nice to be able to bridge, plane going ahead like this. And again, if you look at it closely, the sound effect is under my intro voice, just like I did before. Listen to this. We are doing a little bit of a recce to find what... See how it bridges it? The sound is disappearing of the airplane flying. I start talking, then you see me. It softens it, and it's called a bridge or link. Okay, it's a really nice way of linking two different scenes. That story now with the airplane is finished. It finishes the flyby. New scene going on our recce. Let's continue. Where we might actually spend the night tonight. We've got two choices where we think we might be able to get an amazing moonrise and sunset, and one place is here, easy to get to. Finding a piece of flat ground is not going to be easy. So now I've got this little acoustic guitar coming in like this underneath me voice, and it's got a build to it. So the emotion here, what's the emotion? It's not the same as the early emotion, because the early emotion was the solitary, longing, beautiful, thought-provoking landscape, loneliness. That was the feel earlier on. It's no longer like that. I'm with my mate, we're walking over rocks. It's a different emotion. If you expect your audience to hang on to an emotion for a really long time, they won't. You decide how long to stay on that emotion. Don't keep it too long. And a great part about using music and sound effects and keeping the story flowing is that keeping the story, pacing the story differently. So now we've got into something that's a little bit fast paced. So what's the emotion? So I'm sitting here thinking, what did I feel at the time? I think to myself, what did I feel at the time? I was having a good day. I was having a really good day, and we were very optimistic about finding an amazing place to photograph the sunset and the sunrise. Optimistic, looking, seeking, searching, fun, good time. These are the words I've just used. So this is the process I use to find a piece of music. I think about how I felt, or if you were doing a character or a story, you're telling a story, think about what they're feeling, write them down. So this piece of music is a little bit upbeat. Why? Because the tempo now is more upbeat than it was before. The music is more upbeat, does not have the same tonal value or the same beat as the previous music because the mood has changed. So now the mood is now up, a little bit upbeat. The editing is a little bit upbeat, and all of those things. And I found a piece of music that I think has a lovely tempo and a lovely feeling of, it's very positive. We're looking forward to this. What do you think? That I know. I just think it works well. It's just kind of hopeful. There's a certain hope in here because I've said we're going to try and do this. And so we're hopeful and we're feeling hopeful. Feel hopeful to your audience. Did you notice the crunching of our feet is quite loud? Make it obvious. As I said before, don't make the mistake of taking out natural sound effects when putting in music. This is as full as it is because you can still hear the real life effects. If there were birds, they would be there. If there was almost anything there, that sound would still be there working with the music to create the scene. I've even got a bit of microphone wind noise in there. And I put it in there for a reason. When we were walking over the rocks, our feet were making almost no sound at all. And I wanted to remind the viewer that this was real. It was the real thing. And I put in, there it is there. I put in a little bit of a microphone thing. I put it on purpose. I wanted to remind my viewers that this was real. Okay, and it's quite soft and you can just hear it, but it's there. And it makes a big difference. Now the music is starting to die out. I can control it. It's nothing more. The music's done now, and we're now getting into the next part of the series, next part of the show, which is finding the place and settling down. Let's see what happens. There's drive, park the car opposite those very large red baobabs, and then walk up. I let the music die very gentle because the music doesn't do anything that'll help the story at this moment. So I've just trailed it off very gently. Your audience won't even notice it. And that's the point. The audience won't notice it because I just want it to go away. So I do it subtly. Let's carry on. There's another lovely piece of music. It's a short piece of music in this scene, and here it is here. It's rather nice. We've settled down, and I'm just doing a little bit of an introspective commentary on what it's like actually being at this amazing place, because we're now waiting for the moon to rise. Sunset behind us, moon will rise in front of those trees, and we'll get to photograph it. And I needed what I like to call a break state. Here, the sun is still up. We've still got a couple of hours to wait before the sun goes down. And I need to jump time. So how can you jump time? Well, you could fade to black and then fade up again and say 2 hours later or something, but that's a bit obvious because you really need to do that. Because you can see if the sun's going down, you can see the sun's going down. So I don't think that's necessary, but I wanted something. I wanted almost to remind my viewers that something special was happening here. So this is what I did. There was a drone shot, and this is where I put it, and I think this works rather well. It's always better with family. I love this place, man. It's nothing and nowhere. It quite matches the Makarikari. It's just something that stirs my soul like no other place on earth. And I don't believe any other place probably ever will. Let me explain how this affects the story. I am talking introspectively. I come to the drone shot, and what the music does is very similar to the music we used earlier on in the program, if you remember. It has the same emotional value. And the shots are similar. While the other one wasn't a drone shot, it's this shot of trees and kind of the feeling that this place is very remote and very beautiful. I'm reminding and I'm pulling my audience back from the high-spirited kind of hopeful, walking along. I'm pulling them emotionally back to where I want them, and that is, oh wow, this place is astonishing. Okay, what do I do? This is what this is doing. It's pulling the emotional state of my audience back by a simple use of music. Now, of course, a drone shot, drones don't record sound, and if they did, it would just be this terrible sound of a drone. So what sound could I put there? I could easily put birds. I could easily put any natural sound track over the drone shot. I chose not to for a very good reason. The place is so lonely and so empty. Any sound here, I think, would actually disturb it. But if it wasn't such a place, then I would definitely add sound. If this, for example, the drone shot was over a forest, I'd have forest effects. I would have forest sound effects with that music, without question. And you'll see now also that as the music dies, my voice comes in, but the drone shot runs and then it cuts back to me. Again, bridging, so it doesn't cut to me talking, it cuts to me talking over the drone shot or under the drone shot, and then to me as the music dies out. Have a listen. It's always better with family. Oh, I love this place, man. It's nothing and nowhere. It quite matches the Makarikari. It's just something that stirs my soul like no other place on earth. And I don't believe any other place probably ever will. The culmination of this particular trip was doing time-lapse photography over these beautiful trees, and I needed to find a piece of hero music. Very, very difficult to do. It was a really, I imagine I took probably many hours to find this piece of music. I think it works well. I want you to watch it now and associate emotions to it. Specific words. Think of specific words that this scene brings to life. It's down and the moon is up, and the time lapse is still working, and we've had a marvelous time shooting pictures. Now, believe it or not, mournful. There's a certain, to me, the word was longing. I expressed earlier how I loved the place, how it was just, you know, there are few places on earth that give me such a thrill being at. And that was the emotion. That was the emotion that I was trying to find. And the music has a calmness. It has, and it's an interesting thing. It's very positive. It's not lonely. It's not mournful. But there is a longing, isn't there? So this is something I call the dig deep method. Write down the emotion that you want to create, and then write down specifics. In other words, sub-emotions. So sad? Nah, not really sad. Melancholy? Yeah, it's melancholy. Write down melancholy. Disappointment? No. But that would be a good word, wouldn't it? So if it's disappointment, write down word disappointment. In this case, it was longing. But what I'm saying is that if it was disappointment, if it was sad, it was disappointment. It was, why is it disappointed? You were let down by somebody. You were cheated. Okay, cheated. That's a good word. Cheated. Lied to. These are emotions, aren't they? If that's the emotion you're trying to create, write those down. Write those words down. Then go and look for the music. In this particular one, I knew in my head that the word was longing, but it wasn't sad longing. It wasn't disappointment longing. It was positive longing. That's what I got out of that piece of music. So as a filmmaker, you have to decide what emotion you want to bring to the party. But here's the thing. Be very, very, very specific, as specific as you possibly can, and understand that I've done this a long time. I'm fairly accomplished at it. I spend a long time looking for a piece of music. A long time. It can be 3 hours. And then I go and look somewhere else because I'm not having, I spend, you know, and sometimes, no. And I'll walk away from it and try the following day with a new kind of head space. All right. It's not easy. Don't expect to find it quickly. We're going to wrap up this one on the piece of music that I chose for the very final piece. The end of this episode was the end of the series, and I wanted to, and one of the elements in the series which carried through quite strongly was still photography. It was an expedition to find wild animals in Africa, and we did find a lot of beautiful wild animals in Africa. And my friend Jeremy and I, we photographed the animals, and after now seeing the time lapse that I had photographed, I now wanted to share with the audience some of the photographs we had taken during the entire trip. What a music to put with it. Man, this was not easy. It really wasn't easy because these are still photographs. So, you know, this is a challenge. Music, finding the right music is a challenge, because if right at the end here I had found the wrong music and the music had clashed, the entire series just would have been just, you know, flat in its face, and it took me days to find this piece of music. But the interesting thing is that when I found it, I knew it. I just said yes. I just knew it. So here's the thing. if you get a piece of music and you think, yeah, okay, cool. You put it in the timeline and you run it and you think, yeah, I'm not sure. Then you are right. Then you are right. Believe yourself. You're right. If you're saying, yeah, no, I'm not sure, then it's wrong. You'll know. You will know. Okay. But again, use the dig deep method. Write down the words. Look for music that makes you feel that specific way. Then put it with your timeline and see what happens. Let's have a look at this. We'll discuss it after we've looked at it.
Hi, I'm not a photographer.
Oh, fear not the cold, for riddles shall unfold, and we were young and bold. We had our secret. Oh, look your shades and see the seedlings now tree, and all that's wild is free, and so are we now. Remember we were friends, and that I loved you.
So that difficult for me to come up with specific emotions on that one because this is not a science. It had the right positive feeling. I liked the fact that it had a female vocal. I liked the fact that it was very gentle. It was meaningful but gentle. It wasn't. The last thing I wanted to do was to overpower my audience because I wanted them to appreciate the photographs. This was about the photographs. And I didn't want to detract from that. I don't think the music does detract from that. I also added in sound effects. The reason for the sound effects, again, it brings the audience back to real life. I put in the sound effect of the jackal. I put in sound effects of a hyena. I put in sound effects of the hippo, of all of those things that, if you had watched the whole series, it'll bring them back to life. Sound effects are incredible things to make the mind work and to create emotion in the head. They are so powerful. Okay, so never, as I said before, never think that by replacing sound effects with music is a good idea. It very, very rarely is. In fact, if in doubt, just go with the sound effects. They are far more powerful, probably more powerful than you think. I hope that helps. More to come.